All right, welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going all in on Lady Gaga.
Yeah, specifically her new album, Mayhem.
Mayhem, out now. You sent over a really interesting mix of stuff this time.
We've got quite the collection.
Yeah, the official YouTube trailer, some info from her website, a CNN article, this one's called Lady Gaga, a Reign of Reinvention, and a French interview with Hugo de Crypt, which, adds another layer to it all.
Definitely adds a different perspective.
It does. So our mission, if you will, is to kind of unpack this moment in her career, what this new album is saying, and maybe how it fits into, or doesn't, her whole journey of constant artistic reinvention.
It's like we have a puzzle, right? We have all these pieces from different points in time, and we need to put them together to see the bigger picture. For you, someone who really values understanding things quickly and getting right to the point.
Efficiently.
We're going to pull out the most important insights and try to make sense of it all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, first things first, Mayhem is out there. We see it on her website. The YouTube trailer is all about it, listed under her 2025 albums.
So this is hot off the presses.
It is. But then we have the CNN article, which actually came out right before the album dropped.
Oh, interesting.
And it suggests that maybe this isn't a total reinvention, but maybe more of a return to form for her. Which immediately makes you wonder, what even is Lady Gaga's form after all this time?
Right, because she's known for these really dramatic transformations.
Exactly. So then we get to the French interview, and this is where things get really interesting. She describes making mayhem like reassembling a shattered mirror.
Oh, wow, that's a powerful image.
It is. It makes you think, right?
Yeah.
What's she trying to put back together?
Well, she talks about going back to her earliest musical influences, the music she was really passionate about, right at the beginning, and how she wrote and produced in those early days. So with Mayhem, she consciously went back to those roots, those first instincts.
So almost like rediscovering her original musical DNA.
Exactly. And she even specifically says she wanted to claim her style of pop music, her references, as a female musician. Like she's saying, this is my pop, this comes from me.
That's such an interesting statement, this sense of ownership, like defining her place in pop music on her own terms.
Right, not letting anyone else define it for her. But then you have this album title, Mayhem, which seems to clash with this idea of going back to basics.
It does. It suggests chaos, disruption.
And she does talk about personal chaos, like just the chaos of her life. But she also talks about the constant pressure to define her, to put her in a box, and how she's always resisted that.
She has never been one to be easily categorized.
Definitely not. So Mayhem, maybe it's not so much about the music itself being chaotic, but more about embracing the chaos of her life, her refusal to be pinned down.
Okay, so there's that element. But she also describes the album as a series of gothic dreams. What do you make of that?
Ooh, that's evocative. It conjures up something a bit dark, maybe romantic, definitely intense. And she touches on some lyrical themes, like she mentions the line, death or love tonight. And there's this image of a lady in red presenting this life-altering choice.
So there's a sense of risk, maybe even danger.
Right. It's like that feeling of being on the edge, the thrill of the night where anything could happen. And she's not shying away from the darker side of that.
So we've got this idea of a return to form from the CNN article, but also she's revisiting her early inspirations. Those things seem connected, but it still makes you wonder, what was that original form? What are we even returning to?
Yeah, that's the big question. And to really answer that, I think we need to look at her history, like her whole evolution, which the CNN article does a pretty good job of laying out.
It does.
So let's go back. Remember the meat dress at the 2010 VMAs?
Oh, how could we forget?
It was such a statement. And it basically announced Born This Way, this whole new era for her. Then you had her male alter ego, Joe Calderone, which, by the way, she recently said is no longer with us. Very tongue-in-cheek, of course.
I saw that. It was funny.
So even she acknowledges these distinct phases in her career. And then who could forget her arrival at the 2011 Grammys?
In an egg.
Exactly. Talk about making an entrance.
Those were moments that cemented her as an artist who really pushes boundaries.
Absolutely. They were more than just stunts. They were artistic choices. And then you have this whole other turn with the jazz collaborations with Tony Bennett.
Yeah, completely different sound.
2 whole albums, a Las Vegas residency, and let's not forget Joanne in 2016, the country album.
Each of these periods, it was like entering a completely different world.
Yeah, visually, sonically, everything. So when we talk about return to form, it's wild because she's done so much.
It almost makes a return more surprising than another reinvention at this point.
Right, but she talks about this in the French interview. She says she feels like at some point she strayed from this language she had built with her fans.
That's an interesting way to put it.
And Mayhem is her way of reconnecting with them on that deeper level, speaking that language again. She even mentions how people reacted to the song Abracadabra, like it felt right, they were on the same page again.
So it's not about erasing everything she's done, but maybe going back to this core way of connecting.
Exactly, like rediscovering a common ground. Now, within Mayhem, there's this song Perfect Celebrity that she really highlights.
Yeah, she calls it her most angry song about fame.
Which is really saying something given her experience.
It is.
And the whole idea of the song is about these two of us, she says. There's the real her, and then there's this clone that exists out in the world.
The clone, that's heavy. What does she mean by that?
Well, she's talking about how part of entertainment now, part of how we engage with celebrities is by criticizing them.
You're right. It's like tearing people down has become its own form of entertainment.
And maybe the perfect celebrity is this image that can withstand that, that's untouchable.
So is she saying that, in a way, fame forces you to become this kind of artificial version of yourself to protect yourself?
Yeah, maybe.
Really?
She has this really powerful line in the song, I'm made of plastic like a human doll. You push and pull me, I don't hurt at all. It's like she's saying she's been objectified, made into something less than human.
Oof, that's a tough image.
And then there's this other line, you say I love you, I disintegrate. It's like genuine connection is almost threatening to this manufactured persona.
It's really a stark look at the dehumanizing aspect of fame. And it makes you think about how she talked about her early career, right?
Totally. Think about it. She blew up so fast after the fame at 22, and she talks about being really isolated, surrounded by people who were mostly interested in what they could get from her.
Those transactional relationships, he called them.
Yeah, exactly. And she acknowledges that isolation affected her art, because real life experiences, that's what fuels creativity. But when your whole world becomes about fame, it creates this distance.
Almost like living in a bubble.
Right. But it's interesting, she seems to feel very differently now. Like she says she has more gravity, a more full life now.
So she's found more balance.
I think so.
Mm.
And she values being an artist, a creator, beyond just the clone. And maybe that's why going back to those early sounds feels right to her now. She's more grounded in who she is.
It makes sense. It's also interesting she mentions getting criticized for not always playing the promotion game.
Yeah, it shows her priorities.
It does. She cares more about connecting with her fans in a genuine way,
Yeah.
even if it's not the traditional way.
And speaking of connection, she has some interesting things to say about social media.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. How does she see it fitting into all of this?
She actually compares TikTok to MTV back in the day, like how MTV used to create these communities around music.
It's true. MTV was such a cultural force back then.
And she sees that same energy on TikTok, even if it's not just music, people connecting through creativity. And it resonates with her.
So it's not just a promotional tool for her.
Not at all. She loves that she can have this direct conversation with her fans through social media, and she runs her own accounts. It's important to her to be authentically engaged.
That's refreshing to hear. A lot of artists at her level have teams running that stuff.
Right, and she talks about focusing on the quality of the work itself, not just how it's received online.
I get that. It's easy to get caught up in the likes and the comments.
Totally. But she puts so much effort into the music, the lyrics, everything, and that's where she finds her confidence, not in trying to control how people perceive it.
That's such a healthy approach, especially in her position. Makes me think about her Oscar speech for Shallow back in 2019.
Oh yeah, powerful speech.
When she said, it's not about winning, it's about not giving up. It really felt like she was connecting it to her personal struggles.
Definitely. And she specifically mentioned two things that helped her get through tough times. Her fiancé at the time and the Chromatica Ball tour.
That sense of connection again.
Yeah, having a support system and then that incredible energy of connecting with fans. And that's the message she has for young people, especially those who feel marginalized. Love, community, and backing up your words with actions.
Powerful stuff. Now, the Hugo de Cricht interview had this fun rapid-fire section, which gave us these little glimpses into her personality.
It was so charming. We learned she still gets stage fright, which is so humanizing.
It is. You wouldn't think that after all she's done.
Right. And she definitely prefers singing over acting. Though she hesitated for a second, it was funny. Her French is badly a bit, she admitted. She puts her own songs on her playlists.
Ah, I love that.
And she has songs she regrets recording, which I'm dying to know which ones. She's not sure Poker Face would be as big today, shows she understands how much things have changed. She rarely forgets lyrics, which is impressive considering how many songs she has. And her answer about whether she wishes she wasn't famous was really thoughtful, not a simple yes or no.
It makes you realize she's thought about all sides of it.
She clearly admires Elton John, called performing at the Olympics a huge honor, and loves Paris, of course. She admitted to being afraid of failure, which again, so relatable. She keeps her old outfits like these artifacts of her career and tries to be honest in interviews.
The little details are so great, it's like seeing behind the curtain.
They make her feel more real somehow. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Mayhem, what would you say are the big takeaways?
I think it's safe to say that Mayhem is Lady Gaga going back to her pop roots. But it's not a simple rewind. It's all filtered through everything she's experienced, all the artistic journey she's taking.
Exactly. And the album seems to really be exploring themes of fame, identity, and the importance of real connection, both with herself and with her fans.
So for you listening, hopefully this has given you a better understanding of what Mayhem is all about and maybe some insights into Lady Gaga that surprised you. She's such a complex and fascinating artist.
And as a final thought, remember how Lady Gaga has always reinvented herself?